you made a decision then to leave the apartment.
Because of my alcoholism, I was getting sick.
Jason and Adriana and their father,
Okay.
Jason's father, lived with me in 2019. Mr. Parrish, Wayne Parrish, came to me in December of 2018 asking to rent my apartment. Wayne had stayed up until September and then had moved out, and Jason had taken over the lease at that point. But Wayne had still paid the rent up until that time.
Okay, so for that first year, which is basically the full year of 2019,
Correct.
even
Everything
though Wayne didn't live there the whole time, everyone was paying the rent.
Correct.
You were paid up for 2019.
Correct.
Okay, so then before the year ends, he moves out, even though continues to pay the rent. And so now we're to the next year,
Correct.
2020. Wayne's not going to live there anymore,
No, Wayne's out.
but the defendants still wanted to live there.
I certainly did, Your Honor.
Okay, signing a new lease?
Yes, I have the new lease here, Exhibit A.
And what was the rent for the first year they
The
all
rent
lived
was
there?
$1,500 a month for the first year.
And now when it's just the defendants living there, how much was the rent?
It was raised an extra $75. I noticed in my electric bill that it was getting a little steep for the next few months. And
Okay, so, but that was signed, so you're entitled to...
Right, so I had to increase the
yeah,
rent.
So everybody signed onto the lease.
Everybody
that
signed the
needs
lease.
to, yeah.
When his father moved out in September, I felt that the pressure was on Jason, that he knew that he was going to have to maintain the lease, and I felt that he had some issues that he wasn't dealing with properly. And there were
How do you guys know each other?
Wayne is my longtime friend for over 50 years now.
Oh, wow.
But when I went to Vietnam in 1970 and I came back, we lost touch with one another. And
Well, thanks for your service,
Thank
I
you, Your
should
Honor.
say, yeah.
came back in 74 and reconnected a little bit. So I've known Jason pretty much that whole time as well. And we all
Well,
have
it's nothing
issues.
like suing each other.
Well, it's,
To get-
I built this apartment to make an income for myself, Your
I
Honor.
know,
Nothing comes between Johnny and his money.
yes. Okay. All right, is it right, has he told the story correctly at this time? So now we're
Yeah,
into
for the most part,
January.
yes.
You have
Just
health reasons. I hope
additional
you're,
things.
I hope you're okay, or you get to be okay. But you made a decision then to leave the apartment.
Because of my alcoholism, I
Yeah.
was getting sick, and
Yeah.
I lost my job, and I was trying to find other work, but I couldn't, I was just still sick.
Yes.
And I tried to quit completely, and that's why I ended up in the hospital.
Right.
I was diagnosed with acute liver failure. I was on the edge of death multiple times. I was hallucinating, having seizures, and it started when I tried to quit, which is like, I guess, the beginning of December, when I started having the seizures. And then after the seizures came the hallucinations, which were very vivid. I was having conversations with people that weren't in the room. One of the reasons that Johnny called because we had, and if I'm correct, we called the police because I saw raccoons around a bunch of kids out on the porch.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I mean, he never had this problem the year preceding this. Then all of a sudden, the pressure's on him to take care of this lease, and now he's starting to have all these issues. The year prior to that, Wayne can attest to the fact that there was very little problems whatsoever.
Look, obviously, I'm not the doctor here.
Right.
But it could be he wasn't trying to go
He wasn't
cold.
drinking back then, is what I'm trying to say. Then all of a sudden, he has a problem in January because he has a lease to pay. Now all these things happen. And like I said, Wayne was there. His father lived with me. We all lived together.
He may not have been trying to go cold turkey back then. I'm not defending him on this. I
Right.
don't, what I'm saying is, I don't know. I don't think, if we're not the person going through this, I don't know.
I can appreciate that. I
Yeah, I'm
understand
not
that
sure
as well.
I want to say, well, why couldn't you dealt with it before? Why can't you deal with it now?
Right,
I don't
exactly.
know. And maybe you're right. Maybe the additional pressure, if someone is having those kind of issues, suddenly the additional pressure, gee, Dad's not here, I'm going to have to pay the rent alone, and I don't know if I can, maybe that's enough to put him over the edge. Who knows?
I understand it.
So it's January. You guys decide now to leave.
Yeah, and I wanted to add also, because this was not just started happening at the end of the lease. I've been battling alcohol for over 10 years. My father can attest to that. She can attest to that.
Okay.
I've been to rehabs prior to this, so this has been
All right.
going on. My alcohol problem has been going on for a very long time. And thankfully, today I'm standing here in front of you 10 months sober.
Well,
So-
that's wonderful. Congratulations
Yeah.
on that. How do you feel with your dad standing over there?
Well, as he said, you know, they've been friends for a long time, so we were trying
This is-
to keep this from being a
Yeah, you know
tense
what?
situation.
This is really a nice family, all of you. I'm so sorry you're here. So I'm going to try to do something that I think is really fair to both sides here. Okay?
Okay.
Look, lots of people wind up in something they signed, which they did, a lease or whatever, and then they have a regret. Sometimes the regret comes immediately because something untoward happens, whatever. So I understand, man, this is a bad situation. If you had it to do over again, of course you wouldn't have put yourself in this situation. But you did. I believe you clearly should pay the rent for the month of January. You were there part of the month, and he's entitled to a notice. Most states, it's 30 days. He wanted 60 days. It was in the lease there, so you're entitled to that notice. So clearly, even though you didn't stay all of January, you should pay the rent for January. So the months that we haven't dealt with, really,
Like February and March.
February and March.
Yeah,
Your
I'm still
daughter's there in April, and I'm just going to decide, based on the life issues they have to deal with, you're getting the month of January. It's not perfect,
Right,
but
I
it's not
understand.
perfect for them either. I want to keep your friendships, your relationship together. So therefore, on your suit, I fine for the plaintiff in the sum of $1,575. Thank you.